Okay, in the last video we took out some easy bits from this structure here, things like the title, the date, the screen, and we did very simple transformations. Essentially we found that in this structure here, showing, we've got all the data we need. So let's start from showing. We've got a lot of the data we need, things like the time it takes place, the screen, the title, the image, and so forth. And the transformation was very easy. In cases where the column name in the SQL matched, I could use the column name of the SQL here and the title of the JSON attribute that I wanted, and where they match is fine. This one here I had to change them. I didn't use the word date in SQL, and so that transformation is nice and straightforward. Now what I want to do is something more complicated. I want to get this tmap structure out from the database. Okay, this is complicated and we need a plan. And my plan is to try and reproduce this structure here with the wrong data to start with. It is essentially a two-dimensional structure. Okay, I've got a string for every row. So I've got one string for every row label here. So this is row G is the data in here, and row F is the data here, FF rather, is the data here. So I want to build that up. And because it's a two-dimensional structure, I'm going to use a pair of nested loops. I want to run over all the row labels, and I want to run over every column. And I'm going to start off by hard coding that. So, UMAP is a structure I want to produce. Nope, sorry, TMAP. TMAP is a structure I want to reproduce, and that is an array of arrays. And so I'm going to start off by saying TMAP. TMAP is an array, and I'm going to fill that with the right structure. So tmap is an array. I also need row labels, and I'm going to hard code that as well. $row labels. $row labels is this is an array as well, and I'm just going to copy this. I'm cheating like crazy. But I'm going to replace all this hard-coded stuff with data from the database eventually. So those are my rows, and I want to loop over all the rows. Now, a loop in PHP, there are a number of ways of doing it, but I quite like the for each loop. For each loop goes like this. The structure I'm iterating over is row label, or row labels, as $RID, that's the row ID. So inside this loop, RID is going to take each of these values in turn. It'll start off as GG and then FF all the way down to AA. So RID will take a different value each time. And every time I get one of those, I'm going to append to my tmap, I'm going to append a string that looks like that. Okay, let's hard code like crazy. So I'm going to say I want to add to tmap, so that's a push I want to do on the array. I'm treating it as a stack. So I think it is array underscore push. Yep, and that's satisfyingly changed color, indicating I've got the name right. I knew it was either push array or array push. And you give it two parameters. You give it the array you want to push onto, and you give it the value you want to push. And I don't know which way around it is. I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess that you take the array and the thing you want to push. And let's give all rows the same to start with. Okay, so this is definitely wrong, but I'm hoping that will build up the structure I want. When I've done that, I can replace this one here. I'm just getting a little bit too big there. So this tmap here that was in ret, I'm going to replace that. So when that row is completed, I should be able to say $ret square brackets tmap equals the thing that I just created, $tmap. Okay, and I should now have every row is exactly the same, and it starts with an LR. So if this works, I'm going to see LRs going all the way down here. Okay, and it depends on me having got these two parameters the right way around. Am I does push take an array and put the string on, or does it take a string and put it onto the array? No, I'm too cowardly. I'm going to check. So I'm in the PHP documentation here, and it is array push. That's what it was called. array push, which way around is it? You take the array first and you put the value you want in afterwards. That makes sense. And that's what I did. That's the array and that's the item I want to push. So I'm hard coding the wrong value in. Let's write that out, see if it works. PHP performance, I'm cowardly. That is looking good. Okay, I can see here's tmap and it's LR, LR, LR. That worked perfectly. Let's see it here, reload. Okay, that seems to be ignoring my new stuff. I'm getting it from performance. Performance is that. Yeah, performance is giving me the right data structure. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Okay, it did work. The LR detail tells me whether it's a left or a right, and we can see here that angle there, that's a left sofa and that's a right sofa. That's a left sofa and that's a right sofa. The O's and the X's are related to the U structure, the U map structure, and I haven't attempted that yet. So that did work because it's given me the same pattern all the way through. I've got LR, LR. I want to get that data from the database. I've hard-coded the seat thing in there. So it's a two-dimensional structure that I'm producing, and so I really don't want to be putting this string together. What I want to do is to make up that string one character at a time. And for that, I need another loop. So I now need a loop for every column for each. Okay, open that, close that. So it's for each now. My columns are just numbers starting at 1 and going through to, I think, 18. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, yes. 1 through to 18. And so I really want a column array. I'm going to make up a column array. Col labels equals. And these are just numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that one was wrong. Okay, so I'm going to do something similar for each dollar col labels, as I called it row ID before, so let's call this CID for column label. Okay, for each of those, I'm going to make up a string. So I'm going to build up a string, dollar row string. I'm going to start that out at 0. And in this array, each time round, I'm going to add a space. No, I'm going to add an armchair. So I'm going to say rs dot equals a for armchair. So every seat in the cinema is an armchair. This thing comes out of that loop and into the outer loop. Okay, so array push, and the thing I'm going to push on is that string rs that I just built up, $rs. So now I've got a nested loop. The outer loop goes over the rows, the inner loop goes over the columns. I start my row string at empty. Every time round for each column, I'm going to add an armchair. So now I have filled my cinema with armchairs. Everything should be an armchair. So if this works, I should see a kind of bucket in each place here. Yeah, nothing can possibly go wrong. Let's write that out and reload. Oh, fantastic. So I've got armchairs in every space. This is just going too well. Okay, I've still hard-coded in this A. And what I really want is that A to be either a space or an L or an R, depending on where it is. Now, here's something useful. What I've got now is a structure that goes over. I've got the row labels, I've got the column labels, and so let me just show you what's going on. Let's put in a debug. So echo debug, debug. This is not for consumption. I'm going to output $RID, $CID, and put in a carriage return so we can see what's going on. Okay, let's run that at the command line. Okay, can you see my debug statements are outputting GG1, GG2, GG3, and so forth, and those are good references for the SQL table I've got. That was tmap. Okay, can you see this database is really good at looking up FF12 gives me R, and I'm getting out FF12, so I should be able to FF12 is an R, FF12 is an R, so I should be able to look up these values. What I could do is inside here, for every one of these, I could run an SQL statement that will find the appropriate character. So I could run an SQL statement that went to the tmap table in the database, and it found the appropriate value. And that would be hideously inefficient. All right? I could, from the database, I could pick up, I could write an SQL statement that said, give me this character here for FF16 or FF12 or wherever I happen to be, and I could do that 100 odd times, 126 times to find out each seed. So that would be making an SQL statement 126 times. Now, it would work, but it would be hideously inefficient because I would be passing data from the PHP to the MySQL 126 times, and I can do this more or less in a one-up. What I have to do is to get myself out a data structure that will do that lookup. What I really want is a data structure that's something like this. So the data structure I'm after is an array. So this is the required data structure, is an array, and that array will map things like AA1. AA1 is a space, and AA2 is, I think that was a left armchair, and AA3 should be a right armchair. So that's the data structure that I want, but I want that to come from the database. Now, if I can build that data structure up, then I could use it here. So I could say $RDS of the row label, no RID, and concatenate that with the column ID, $column ID. So I could pick that up. It's not liking it. RDS is $RID, $CID. I'm wondering why it's not liking it. It looks like that's a hideous error. I can't see anything wrong with that, but my editor is complaining like crazy about it. I think the editor's just gone mad. And we're going to write out and open it up again. Oh, it still doesn't like it. It's probably the ... I've got in there. I'm tempted. I actually want to make this run. I certainly can't be bothered to fill this thing up. There are 126 arrays, and so 106 elements in the array, but that is more or less the data structure I want. I think I am tempted. Let's get rid of the debug statement. That would work if my RDS structure was completed. Let's put in an if statement. So if else. Okay, I'm getting freaked out by this color. I can't think what's wrong. That looks like a good structure. Okay, test I want to make is I've made a half-hearted job at filling in the structure that I want here. And if my half-hearted attempt has been successful, then this RDS will contain the key. Now, there's an absurdly long way of doing this in PHP. It's something like if array contains key. I'm going to try that. So, if array contains key. Nah, it's not that. Something like has key. PHP has key. Object has key. Hash has key. It's a hash structure. It's an associative array or a hash. I've obviously been to this page before a few times. Array key exists. Why didn't I guess that? So if um, array key exists, and you have to specify, no, it's not liking that. If array key exists, what have I got wrong? If array key exists. I'm not liking with the color coding in my VI has gone wrong, and it's making me nervous. I think for each, for example, that's a keyword and it should have this kind of yellow color, but it doesn't. But I can't see anything wrong. Ah, I can see it here. Can you see I've got a double quote there and a single quote there? Let's change that to a single quote. Phew, that's much nicer. So I had a double quote instead of a single quote, which meant that the syntax highlighting was going wrong and nothing was going to work. All right, back to where I was. If the array key exists, okay, that takes two parameters. It takes an array and it takes a key, and goodness knows what order they're in. Array key exists, you put the key first and then the array. So the key that I want to test is this RIDCD, and the array I want to check is the required data structure. So if it exists, let's use it. If it doesn't, let's give it a default value, $rs dot equals, and let's put in a armchair. So the default will be an armchair. Okay, so this is definitely wrong, but I've made a half-hearted attempt to put these in. I've only changed the last two. So looking at my results here, they were blank in the real database, and I've hard-coded in that I've got a left-right pair. No, I haven't hard-coded in that the first one is blank and the second one is L. So that should stay blank, and that should, sorry, yes, so that should be blank, and this one should be a left armchair, if this works. I've taken out my debug statement. I'm building up the T-map. I'm writing that out. Nothing can possibly go wrong. Let's reload. Oh, that's so cool. Can we see what's happened there? For this column, for row A, I've got a space in the first pass and I've got an L in the second place. I could put two left armchairs together if I wanted to. So if I replace that with an L, then this map that I've got is coming all the way through. Okay, I don't want to create this RDS by hand. I want to get it from the database, and that's a relatively easy thing to do. What I can do is run an SQL command just like this, pick these two things out, and build up the required data structure, the RDS, one row at a time. So every time I go around one of these, I will take that, stick it together with that. That will be the key, and I will force the value into that key will be L. So here's the SQL statement. So I start from tmap. No, I can't bring myself to do that. I want the row and the column and the type. It's not type, it was TP. That's the data structure I want. I need to stick those two, jam these two things together. I could do it in SQL using concat. So this would concat those two things together. One of them is a string, one is an integer, but it does a fine job there. So I could do that in SQL, but I could just easily do it in PHP. Let's do it in PHP. So that's the SQL statement I want. Let's take that SQL statement and try and build this thing up from SQL. So $SQL equals, put that thing in. Okay, and I've got to go through that business of repair. So I'm tempted just to copy this. It worked before, it'll work again. There's my cursor. Okay, so I have the SQL statement, I prepare that statement, I execute that statement, I get my cursor, and now I'm going to loop over the cursor. Looping over the cursor, how do you do that? I think I can say while $row equals $cursor, and it's something like fetch row. Fetch. Okay, I think I can fetch a sock or fetch row. Fetch array, I think it is. No, it's not fetch array. Fetch a sock. It's not liking that either. I've done it before. Fetch a sock? No, fetch a sock is right. It just hasn't coded it, hasn't color coded it. Oh well, I'm sure it's fine. Open, close. All right, so I'm fetching in a sock, and so, okay, I wanted to set up that RDS, and I've gone and deleted the RDS line. Okay, so it was dollar RDS, the required data structure, indexed by the row and the column concatenated together. So that's dollar row RW and dot for concatenate with dollar row of CL. Put that in quotes. Okay, so this is the key, and the value I want, close that one, the value I want is dollar row, what was it, TP. Okay, so that should be getting the required data structure that I wanted, and then here I use that required data structure, I use that required data structure to build up the strings that I wanted. That's gonna work. It's gonna work like a dream. Write that out and reload. Oh yeah, that looks right. Okay, I'd hard-coded in a mess there. This is getting the left and right armchairs. This is everything is coming from the database, just as we want. That 403 forbidden is freaking me out. I'm not going to fix it now though. Okay, that is a very long video. Let's stop there and we'll do things a little bit more properly in the next video.